Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The campaign is Horror on the Orient Express. It's available from Chaosium. I'm the Keeper of Arcane Lore, and this is episode 63. Our recap will be given by David Gasaway as his character, Roland Kurz. So, without any further delays, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
Thank you, Tom. Perhaps if he had survived the journey to Constantinople, Dabrowski might have seen what we few survivors did not, or perhaps he too would have nourished the viper at his breast. Why did we not ask how the Brotherhood anticipated our meeting with Balab? I hope his suffering is at an end, but no part of him yet lives within the viscous mass of putrid flesh that he became. We have been so blind. Of course, we have been jumping at shadows, even as we are shadows of our former selves. Afraid that our hotel, like so much of this ancient city, was infected by the enemy, he eagerly deposited our relics with the wealthy cousin of our interpreter, Farrar, in his compound. Then we espied the Red Mosque from the water and located the burial place of Garaznet the scholar, crossing again to it at night, prepared to rob his grave. The beggar lunatic who lives in the cemetery and communes with the dead could not quite warn us. We opened the tomb to find not the scrolls we desperately need, but another fetid mass of living, hungry flesh, and that was not to be the worst of it. We were wholly surrounded by members of the cult, who disarmed and bound us before we could more than get off a shot. They had been with us every step. They had staged the attack in the bazaar to win our trust, and Farrar had been one of them all along. We have brought them the tools they desired, the Sedefkar simulacrum intact. We, at great personal expense, have prepared the culminating ritual of their damnable faith. They left us in the graveyard to be absorbed into and consumed by a writhing mass of stolen children, stitched and melted together by their evil arts. And yet we proved to have yet one ally still, the gypsy we have seen about with his great trained bear. And that fierce beast did battle with the horrid mass of lost children so that we could be borne safely away. Our savior's name is Akhtar, and he is an ally of Ataturk, and he is joining us, or leading us, we broken few, as we attempt a stealth assault on the evil within the Red Mosque.
So at this point, we'll say that you are still at the place where he lives, and he says, we cannot wait long. We have to be quick. They're all gathered there together for some sort of ritual. What do we need? What shall we take?
I mean, we need some means of defending ourselves. I don't know about my colleagues, but I, for one, don't currently possess a firearm.
Well, I hope that it's going to be hard to go, because where we have to go is terrible. But we will be coming up from beneath. We will come up underneath them inside their evil mosque and take them by surprise. But I want to do what we can to save the children that are still there. That's really all that matters, those children. There's many of them that they have captured, and I fear that they're going to use them in some horrible ritual.
So what we can tell you is that their brotherhood is intertwined in its ancient history with a strange artifact a facsimile of the human form made of some very strange material that has unusual properties and is historically known to make its wearer essentially invisible. And they have stolen all of the pieces of it for us, the things we came here to destroy. As you have been inside, have you seen if they have a series of scrolls in their possession? Do they have?
Yes, there is a room with scrolls in it. Part of their the unspeakable things that they do. There are bodies everywhere and bits of bodies and other things.
So we'll be coming up from underneath, so we're going through the sewers.
We'll go through the cistern. I know the secret place that I found. It will take us down and then across. We can't go in through the top because there's too many of them there.
No, that'd be guarded, whereas coming up beneath, and if they're not aware of this entrance, we'd stand better chances. I wonder we could fashion some sort of smoke bomb or something that it's obscuring. They outnumber us, so if we could take away some of the sights, and if we're expecting it, we could have like goggles and masks to protect our breathing, give us a slight advantage.
Perhaps. Yeah, something that doesn't harm the children, of course, but yeah, that if we can make them unable to see. Akhtar, you know where the children are held?
I don't. I assume it's just in there somewhere. There are a number of rooms we will have to go through to get to the mosque itself. They're underground nightmare rooms.
Yeah. So they have a compound that extends not only within the Red Mosque, but beneath it in the hill?
Yes, I think much older than the mosque itself.
Yeah. I will consider the possibilities of something that can fill the area with obscuring smoke that is not directly harmful, so that it won't bother the children unnecessarily. Maybe some cough, but
we have so little time. What do you need? We must go almost immediately. I might be able to find some firearms.
Well, I have my...
Yeah.
So I could give one of you one of them.
One of your guns?
You were disarmed at the cemetery.
That's right. So we don't have...
You're sticking a little, Stuart. Nope, there you are.
Yeah. Are there any handguns or rifles, anything at all? Like just even a couple, just so we could.
I may be able to come up with a couple of handguns, but it might take 15 minutes or so, and time is short.
Agreed, but I think that
I'm hoping that once we are inside, we can create a distraction and you can get the children out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should concentrate on the children because we need to find the scrolls and use them to destroy this suit or mannequin. Because if they use it, I don't know how powerful that their leader will become, but it's an object of great desire for him. I just don't know how we'll survive far enough to find anything.
So, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, also, perhaps as useful for me at least as a firearm would be something more like a cutlass.
Oh, you want a knife? Knives we have.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't think you can get firearms, at least knives or cudgels, something to hit.
Also not alerting all of them to our presence would be useful. A throat slit from behind is a quiet thing.
Very good. So he manages to round up. Definitely, he's got knives.
Yeah.
Probably not like what you'd expect, but definitely something from the Orient, or I guess you call Constantinople the Orient. I think it's still sort of called that.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's the Orient Express.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe one revolver, perhaps. Maybe
Thursby's a crack
He
shot.
I'm a crack shot.
he scrounges around, and eventually he brings you a revolver.
One,
Yeah. It's kind of old.
yeah. As long as it works, I give it a quick once over and make sure it's not all.
If he's got like an axe handle or something I can use as a club, is
Yeah.
fine.
Sure. Yeah, there'll be clubs.
Yeah.
There'll be things that you can use for clubs. Theodore, I'm just going to tell you that your assessment is it's probably about 80% on that gun. That it doesn't look like it's been cleaned in a while.
Okay. If this thing
really,
looks like a disaster waiting to happen, then all right, I will let it be.
but it might work.
Well, I should be able to ascertain pretty reliably if it's.
Well, it doesn't look like it's clean. So without a half an hour of cleaning,
Yeah,
I don't know how long it takes to clean a gun.
not too long. But if there's no cleaning, if there's nothing to clean it with,
Exactly. But it still might fire without jamming. All right. So you get all of your things together, and he's like, all right, we'll go. So over the course of the next 10 minutes or so, you find yourself going down alleys, working your way towards that part of the city. Once again, you're trying to avoid what he says are thieves and dogs, packs of dogs, so that you don't alert anybody. And eventually you find on a small street, there's a little alley. You go down the alley, there's an alcove, and you find that there is a door. The door itself is only maybe 3 feet high. It looks like an access to something. And he says, down here are where the cisterns are. I don't know if there's other entrances into it, but these were the cisterns built by Emperor Justinian in the 6th century to power all of his fountains. And he opens up the door, and you can see stairs going down. You have to kind of duck while you're going down. So it's a little treacherous. Eventually you get to the bottom of the stairs. It's very dank and it's musty, and you can hear the sound of lapping water. You go down a corridor, and you finally come to this place where there's kind of a landing, and it opens up into this underground cistern. The cistern you can't see. You get the feel of the cistern. The cistern is actually a couple of acres in size. There are pillars and vaulted ceilings holding up the city up above. And it's filled with water, but there's a little boat that's tied right there. And it seats about 6 people. So you guys get in without any trouble. And very quietly, he begins to row. And There are moments when the whole thing seems so surreal. You're in the dark. There's a little bit of light because he's got a little lantern, we'll say. And you become isolated out there on the water. But eventually you start to approach the other side. And there's no landing. He says, this is going to be a little tricky. But he pulls out his knife and he sort of runs it along a seam in one of the blocks on the wall and starts to fiddle with it. And for a moment, it makes the boat feel like it's going to tip. And eventually he pulls the stone loose and slides it to the side. And you can see that you've somehow accessed part of a spiral staircase. You're above the water level, and the staircase goes up, but it also goes down. And he says, we need to go down. We're going to cross under the city, and we're going to be underneath the mosque after that. So I'm not going to make you guys see if you fall out of the boat or anything like that. We'll say that you managed to get out of the boat.
We all drown at the end of the story.
You all drowned. That's the end.
There-
That dragon
Like,
from the other scenario
roll
comes and
credits.
gets you all.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh God.
You begin down this long winding staircase that's going down, and it seems to go down for a long way. And one of you may ask, how far down does this go? And he you don't know if he's joking or not, but he says it goes all the way to hell, my friends. And down it goes. It eventually levels out in a long corridor that's about 5 feet high. So you guys have to still hunker down a little bit. And now as you're going along, you start to smell rotting decay. The walls seem to be, the moisture down here, the walls seem to be sort of covered in greenish black slime. Everything is moist and dripping. But eventually, he says we have to put out the lanterns now because we're coming to a place where some of them might be.
How are we going to see?
Well, as he puts out the lamps, you can see that there's light down at the end of this corridor. It looks like torchlight or something. He says to you as you approach, he says, this is the place that I think I'm going to call the tomb, because there's a lot of dead bodies here. And as you go in, the candle flames, or the torch light, sort of has a green flicker to it. And you can see that all along the walls there are niches with dead bodies in them. Most of them have rotted. The smell is terrible. But you slowly make your way through this, and you begin to realize that there's carvings on the walls, and everything seems to be in homage to who you've come to understand to be the skinless one. These bodies look like they may have been stripped of flesh, but they're placed in the niches in a manner that sort of looks like places of honor, like maybe these are the honored dead amongst the cultists. You also get to a certain point where he stops you all in your tracks, and he points up like this. And when you look up, long way up above you, you can see little rectangles of light. And he says very quietly to you, they lead into the mosque. If we make any noise down here, they'll be able to hear us. It'll echo. So it must be very quiet. So you get through there, and you come to another room, In this room, he also points at you, makes very quiet. There is a man in this room, and he's sitting in a chair on the other side. And at first glance, you're afraid that he's going to see you, but then you realize he doesn't have eyes. His eyes have been removed. His mouth has been sewn closed. And in place of hands, he has blades. Like he's some sort of guard, but he's been made into a thing. What do you guys want to do? You don't want to make any noise, but you...
No. About how far away is he?
Oh, he's only about maybe 6 or 7 feet away. This room is very small.
All right. I'm gonna look around, then I'm gonna try and stealth up to him and stab him in the through the temple.
Okay. Why don't you do a stealth roll?
All right. It's time for me to show my quality.
Oh, yeah, you got it, Gunther.
That is an extreme.
Right. You go up to him. You realize as you come up to him that he himself seems to be stitched together from multiple pieces, just like all the other cult members. And with a swift sort of, you jam the knife in. He shakes for a moment, and then he slumps down. And Akhtar puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "Well done."
Thanks.
Just
Couldn't have-
through another... Oh, go ahead.
Clean that blade carefully, please.
Okay.
Don't poke yourself with whatever is in him.
Yeah.
Through a small archway, you go into another room. This room's a little bit larger, and lining the walls are hundreds of scrolls in various stages of decay, or they're not really falling apart, but you can tell that this room is like a preparation room for the dead. They're all... It definitely looks like they do things to people in here. You also notice some sort of medical instruments and things that are in here, but there are also jars, and you have a horrible feeling that the jars have goo in them from people. What do you want to do in this room? None of the scrolls look like they're of great importance, and they're all dusty.
Yeah.
So these are not the scrolls we're looking for.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would think not. It's down here where it's moist. I mean, it's not ideal storage for paper.
No. Given the limited light, the scrolls all seem in a similar condition.
Yeah.
And nothing
Old.
seems as if there's interest in preserving it as the most sacred text.
Do you want to look at any of them?
Yeah, I feel, cursory glance. Again, we don't have or want to make much light, but I want to see if there's anything different about any set of them.
You pick one of them up, and they're surprisingly robust for being down here for so long. They're obviously on something. You're guessing possibly human skin. And written on everything written on them is in Persian script. And there seem to be little illustrations, much like the one that you guys found. But in this case, it definitely looks like body preparation. You see pictures of them removing skin from the people and getting rid of the muscles and throwing the skeleton away and putting the skin in jars and
Less sacred text and more cookbooks or instruction manuals for the horrible things they do in this abattoir. When will we invent nitrile gloves? How soon will it be?
maybe that's going to be one of your inventions.
Yeah.
That's what if I survive.
Now, all this while you've been surrounded by that horrible decay of dead flesh smell. You move into another room, and this room is odd. It's almost symmetrical in the way things are laid out. There are tables that are sort of laid out in a radial pattern round, and there's shelves. And in the center of the room, there is a kind of a chandelier. And it reminds you kind of a church chandelier, but all of the votives are blue. So there's just this eerie blue light that's shining. And the one thing that you notice mostly is there is no smell when you step into this room. And laying on all of the slabs and shelves and things are body parts, but they all look fresh.
Nothing's decaying. Why does that not surprise me?
Adult size or children size body parts?
Mostly adult size.
Okay.
There's also body organs there, like hearts and livers and lungs and things like that. They're also not decaying.
Is this room cooler at all, as if this blue light were chilling it?
Not particularly. I mean, it's cool because it's so far underground.
And
But
the little blue candles, do they look to be made of wax? Are they actually burning, or is it another source of light?
well, it's high enough up that you could reach them, but they're in blue glass votives. They look like regular candles. They're flickering, you know. But the light itself feels very strange. It's almost surreal, the feeling that it gives. But you wonder if it has something to do with the fact that nothing here is decaying.
I think so. Gunther, boost me off on one of these slabs. I just want to stick my nose in this and see if it's fire or something else.
Okay. Gotta give him a boost.
Do an intelligence roll.
72? What's the matter with me? It's a success, but only regular.
I mean, at first glance, it looks like a regular candle, but the candles don't look like they've melted either. So somehow, this has got to be some form of magic.
There's a wick, but there's no pool of wax?
Correct.
Yeah, I wonder.
And just your breath also, makes the candle flicker.
I can't see any reason to blow these out or carry one with us, but we'll remember that they are here. They are curious. Something that preserves with light. It also makes me think of Marie Curie and her experiments. But that's light not in our visual spectrum. And
do they give off heat?
Mm.
Wait, here you go.
Hand over him. You don't feel any heat.
Yeah.
And you put your hand over them, just the gesture of your hand over them makes them flicker, brightly, as if you caused more of a breeze than you actually thought that you could.
I almost think these are living things of some kind, little spirits they have trapped here. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. If we survive, I'll take one of these or a few for study. For now, I think we must leave them undisturbed unless anyone has an idea.
No.
Time,
Yeah.
time is of the wasting.
Yeah. Right. Leave them here.
So you come to a rather tight staircase going back up, and he warns you. He says, "Now we're going to be going up into the mosque itself. Um, you can already hear the din of something going on up above you, but so far you haven't encountered anybody except the guy who
What
didn't
was
look like he would enjoy the party anyway."
what was that guy wearing? Was he wearing like robes of any sort or any sort of uniform or
He was in fact wearing red sort of torn robes.
Okay. Was there any symbols on it or is it just colored?
Just red.
Okay. So yeah, I want to keep an eye out to see if there's any spare cloaks or robes we might be able to put on just so we could maybe blend in case someone
Well,
catches a peek of us.
do a spot hidden for me.
Oh yeah, this is where I shine. Rolling. Uh, oh, 34. Now what does that mean? 34 spot hidden. Ooh, yeah, that's an extreme. My spot hidden's up to 70 now.
Very nice.
Hard.
So before you actually go and get on the stairs, you realize there is another room that's just, like through another little alcove right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
And just out of curiosity, you peek over there and you take a look, and you see that it is supplies. It looks like there's possibly oil, candles, chemicals of
Pumpkins.
various kinds, and robes.
Nice. No Tommy guns, though, I guess.
No guns.
Okay.
Right. Although there's probably an array of very nasty looking toothed knives and things like that.
I'll grab a knife and a robe. What do you think, guys? What do you think?
Can't
Well,
hurt.
I mean, it always helps to dress to the right attire for these types of events.
Exactly.
Oops,
Mute.
you're muted.
You,
Yeah, just no friendly fire because we all are wearing red robes.
Hmm.
All right. So you start up the stairs, and the more you go up the stairs, the more noise you start to hear. Eventually, with Akhtar sort of leading the way, as you're getting up towards the top of the stairs, which is really ground level, you're almost hunkered down on your hands and knees as you're sneaking up to the top of the stairs. What order are you going in? Who's going first, second, third, and fourth? There's only room for one person.
maybe
On the
the best
stairs.
hand-to-hand people up front.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. If Gunter wants to lead the charge, or you,
Yep.
Theodore,
Yep. I have no problem taking the lead. This reminds
And
me of the
if
trenches.
no one objects, I'd be behind you, Gunther, so I could lend a hand with hand-to-hand as well, if need be.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. So as you get to the top, Gunter and Theodore, you realize first that this is the mosque itself. And what you see is a large round room. There's kind of a gallery up above where there are more people. There are probably 300 cultists in this room. They're all wearing red robes. They're all swaying and making noise in anticipation of the event. Kind of around the side and and accessible to where you guys are, you can see that there are a whole bunch of children that have kind of been roped together, not in the same manner as before, but they're just restrained.
Right.
Just
Won't have you do a spot hidden, but without the spot hidden, you can see that one of them's a little white boy. So probably James James Rutherford. Yeah, the little boy there. And so far, it doesn't look like they've been harmed, but they're obviously going to be part of this ritual. In the center of the room, there is a circular dais. And in the center of the dais, there is a stone. The stone looks like it's maybe 9 or 10 feet tall. It's kind of flat and wide and pointed at the top. And you can see that there are 6 sort of niches, kind of like a star pattern with another one in the center of the star pattern. And just as you are looking, Akhtar sort of points over towards the children are, because there you go. And he says, we'll have to make a distraction, but let's wait for the right moment to strike.
You know, you are aware, I guess you saw him in the cemetery, Kuradef, who's the ringleader. If we could kill the head priest, maybe we can confuse things a little bit. And this stone looks like a place to keep all of the separate pieces of the simulacrum.
Yeah, in fact, it does kind of look like, though they're crudely carved into the stone, they would be roughly for the head, the body, the 2 arms, and the 2 legs.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd is making a lot of noise now, and once again, coming in on a dais is brought Suleiman Malfakat, who you've already seen. He comes in and he says, "Now the time has come." Oh, and that most everybody's dressed in red robes, if I didn't already say that. You also notice that there are some Europeans amongst them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Suleiman steps down from the dais, and as he's stepping down and moving forward, there are 6 cultists who are bringing in the 6 pieces of the simulacrum, and they're placing them each in their place on this stone. And Suleiman takes up a position in front of the stone, and from his robe he pulls a scroll that looks like it's composed of skin, and you suspect that it might be one of the scrolls you've needed. And he begins to do some sort of chant in, it sounds like Persian.
This cannot be allowed to continue.
And just one second. Akhtar sort of is whispering in your ears what he thinks that Suleiman is saying. He's praying, "I ask this by the power of the Sedevkar, by the torment of the flesh to be endured by those corrupted by it." And Akhtar says, "Now is a good time." So
All
right.
What do you guys want to do?
Let's go.
We're really trusting this guy.
Yeah.
Well, he got us this far, so
Never
you
went
know,
wrong before.
Yeah,
if
maybe.
he was going to betray us, I mean, he would have just let us die in
Yeah.
the cemetery. So,
All right.
if
So
Gunter and Theodore if you want to go after Suleiman, Roland and myself can try to get the kids out.
That's
So
probably the
just in
best.
terms of trying to think of who has the best knife fighting skills. I mean, I'm not a slouch at close quarters combat, but I don't know if I'm better than Gunter or Theodore.
Without a magical knife, I am a slouch.
Yeah. Are the cultists kind of like packed in there pretty tight with each other?
They're packed in there pretty good, and they are all completely focused
Right.
on
So,
what's going on.
what I'm picturing is like if we could, if you're in a crowd, you can get a couple people kind of falling. They all kind of just kind of fall forward as they're trying to capture themselves.
Like a mosh pit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, but bring in a modern.
A 1920s mosh pit.
That's right. Yeah. So I put in my tooth guard and make sure I can slam into it. That's right. But yeah, I mean, if we're going to go that way, maybe we could get people kind of stumbling a little bit to give us a clear run for it. So, we doing it, Theodore? I know it's just stunning. You're muted.
Yeah. Let's give it
All right.
the good old.
Okay.
Been nice knowing you.
So specifically, you guys are going to push the crowd.
Yeah, kind of push the crowd to try and get people stumbling so we can get a clear shot to run toward what was it, Suleiman?
Yeah. Suleiman, the red.
And as we have been admiring this holy scene, the kids are roped in an alcove somewhat to the left.
Correct.
Where is
to the right, actually? Yeah, from where you are.
To the right from where we are, and where from where we are is an exit from the building?
You're not really sure because it's kind of disorienting. You can't see. There's no windows or anything. It's like you're inside of a big round church, but you don't know which direction the outside is.
So there may be arches along the walls, but they all look the same.
There's arches, yeah, all around the edges, and there's people up above, and there's people crowded in here. So, yes, sir.
So we would have to push our way and shove our way through the crowd to get to Suleiman, or is there just like one or two people we'd have to get by to then get after Suleiman? The reason I ask is I fear that if we start shoving the crowd, that will alert Suleiman. So instead of being able to have a chance to get halfway to him, maybe all the way before he realized we're upon him, we're giving him a huge like, hey, we're coming.
Well, what I was thinking more is like anytime there's a large crowd, someone stumbles, and like people are just trying to catch themselves, not make it look like we're just shoving everyone out of the way.
Got it. Okay, I like that. Bingo. I'm with you. This is gonna work. I feel good about it.
Also, Gunter, your size is what?
I'm a large man, 75.
That helps a little. Yeah. I think Neruda, I'm thinking we are trying to lead the children in an organized fashion if we can.
Yes.
Rather than behind them and herding, more like get the little English boy and say, "Follow us, kids. We're getting out of here," because he can tell the others. And then we maybe are very solemn. We process until we find the door to the outside, and then we make the run.
Yes, yep. I mean, as long as everybody in the crowd thinks that we're taking them for the ritual, then we shouldn't be harassed. So, how are they, like, if we get over there, are they like, how are they bound? Are they kind of bound in like a fashion where it's like a chain, or are they all just like tied together into a bundle?
We'll say that it looks like their hands are tied together in a chain of rope.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for. So we can have because they're mobile, so they can walk, right? Or their feet bound too.
Well, they're not in exactly the most cooperative manner. They look almost catatonic, some of them.
Okay, yeah. So we can lead
They're
them like
terrified.
little sheep out of here and send them to the slaughter. So yeah, getting the boy who hopefully speaks both English and Turkish should
All right.
help.
All right.
So give us 1 minute head start. We will head toward the children, see if we can get the Richardson boy, and then you can begin the big kerfuffle.
Yeah.
And Akhtar is going to come with you towards the children.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
he's skirting around along with you.
Mhm.
Okay, everybody do spot hiddens.
That.
No.
Ooh, 11. That's that's an extreme.
88. I'm a little preoccupied.
Okay. Who passed?
Extreme.
Okay. Where's the little thumb come from?
Oh my God.
That was a
You
cool
did
thumb.
you did a thumbs up and it showed a thumb. AI has gone too far.
Oh, I hope that's not.
Oh,
I hope
Jesus
that's not going to
Christ.
show up in the show.
Wow.
Okay. What was Stu saying about not being recorded? What is this? How do we
all right. So you start some of you start moving over towards the kids. Gunter and Theodore, you're getting ready to cause pandemonium in the crowd. Oh my God, you got a prop.
It's the little knife I was getting.
Yes.
but now Zoom doesn't pop up a little sword to go. Okay, like come on.
Yeah. That's a hell of a knife.
Yeah, just a little one.
Gunter, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, Theodore, as you're looking, because you got an extreme, as you're looking over, what you see Dr. Gabriel and Roland and Dr. Roland almost to the children. They've gotten almost to the children. You are there with Gunter ready for a signal. Akhtar has gone about halfway to the children, and he's turned and he's facing Suleiman at the altar. And you get the impression that he's going to cause a distraction. And what he does is he just suddenly pushes himself into the crowd, heading straight towards Suleiman with a knife out. But what you notice is that the cultists are getting out of his way. As he moves forward up onto the and jumps up onto the dais, he runs forward quickly and he snatches the scroll out of Suleiman's hand and shoves the old man out of the way. And he yells out, "Your master's son has returned. I, Hassad Malfikat, am the skinless one's own hide." And then he points at you and he says, "Infidels, stop them."
I am so fucking tired of being betrayed today. Oh my God.
Well, I go.
Anybody else? Roll in there. You're gonna declare yourself the heir. Like
I'm gonna go run in. I want to get my body back from that Sedefkar. He's my. I'm gonna go run because plan's still the same. Let's. We just got a different target there, Theodore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right. So
We'll do pincher tactic.
I throw my whole body weight against the guy in front of me.
The cultists seem to have listened. They've immediately turned, and they are, as they say in the Bible, they are falling upon you. You hear him yell, seize them, don't kill them, I want them alive. And he sort of kicks Suleiman towards the edge of the dais, and he turns around, standing with his back to the Sedevkar simulacrum, and he reads the last couple of words on the scroll. And for a moment, there's a kind of blue light, and I guess he's not Akhtar, he's Hassad. He throws his arms up, and you see him sort of melt into the simulacrum. And the whole thing sort of comes together. He begins to grow, and for a moment, he's like 9 feet tall. And he yells out, no longer will the brothers of the skin cower beneath the dome of this place, fearing to make their presence felt in the world. With the power of the simulacrum, we need serve no one. The simulacrum gives us the power. The skinless one shall do our bidding and make great our destiny. And it's almost as if he absorbs the simulacrum, and there's this shining light for a moment. And then at this point, you've kind of lost track of what's going on because this crowd is all over you. You are, you can try to take some of them out. You've got guns, you've got knives, but once again, very quickly, you are overwhelmed. And I'd like y'all to do constitution rolls to see if you are beaten to unconsciousness.
Okay. See, we only need to do criticals on 75 of them each.
I got an extreme.
I got an 01.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I got an extreme, but it's not an 01.
47 out of con of 75. So it's a regular pass on the Constitution.
I have regular also, and then no more thumbs up on this machine.
So you are beaten, but you don't lose your consciousness. You are grabbed and you are restrained. And you are dragged out and down a corridor or something like that. You hear this person yelling, take them to the Red Tower. And you are dragged up a series of stairs. You're dazed, you're confused. And when you reach, it seems like you go up 4 landings. You realize you're going up into a tower. There are jail cells along the way as you're going with people inside them. Some of them are begging, some of them are trying to grab at you as you're going by. Many of them have missing limbs, missing eyes, missing tongues. They're just grunting and making noise. And when you get to the top, a large iron gate is opened and you are thrown inside. And a big clang comes as the door is closed and padlocked. And you are suddenly in there. You can hear a great deal of pandemonium coming from down in the mosque. But for the moment, you are in this filthy room. It looks like they torture people in here. There are manacles on the walls and all sorts of nastiness. So the room smells of rotten feces, and you guys are all bumped and bruised and thrown in here, and you feel awful because something happened when Hassad took control of the simulacrum. Your pains and the effects you were having seemed to almost be magnified. Your leg hurts, your chest hurts, your head hurts,
Mm.
and you are stuck in here. And what do you do? I mean, what can you do?
Unhand me.
Well, I mean,
Well, they've thrown you in. You're not.
Gunter, our resident escape artist.
Yeah,
How
I
the fuck do we get out of here? Except,
start looking around and inspecting the cell, looking for things that are, like the manacles, see if we can get on. At least we have something to swing, because I assume they took our clubs from us and stuff.
Well, the manacles are bolted to the wall,
Yeah,
and the one window that lets light into here is barred, and it's also high enough up. I'd like you to do a spot hidden for me.
Just Gunther?
Well, Gunter, since he's walking over towards the window.
31 regular.
You can see places in the wall where people have scratched and their fingernails have been torn out by them trying to get to that window. I'd like you all to do spot hiddens again as you are stuck in here. You know that there are guards just outside too.
I failed 69.
Ooh,
I have a hard success.
Yeah.
regular success.
Okay. Those of you who succeed realize all of a sudden that you're not all alone in this room. Over in the corner, there is a previous victim. Looks like a somewhat emaciated old man. He's had his arms and legs removed. He's just a torso and a head. It looks like one of his ears have been removed, and his eyes, there's just, places where there's blood that is poured down. He's curled up in the corner, shaking like a dog,
What kind of rags does he have, if any?
Well, not much. He's got kind of a red blanket that's thrown over him. You wonder if it's a torn up robe. But there's a kind of a gray thing that's been thrown over the top of him, over his head. And it's got some odd cuts to it, almost like an old torn up suit jacket.
Let's try the European languages in sequence alphabetically.
So you're going to go over to him and try to talk?
Yeah.
All right. What do you say? Well, he doesn't have.
Yeah. We are fellow prisoners. We are not here to add to your torment.
Hallucinations. Your hallucinations. I won't believe it. Just get it over with. Do what you have to do.
And this is English?
English, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No, we are as real as any of the rest of this madhouse. I am Dr. Roland Kurtz. I'm Swiss. I am here with a South American and an American and another German. How long have you been in this nightmare?
His sightless eyes sort of turn to you. He says, What? What? I'd like you all to do spot hiddens.
Sure.
I think it's our buddy that sent us, the professor. But
08. Critical.
29 is a success.
22 is a regular.
Oh, I have a hard, no? Extreme.
That's a double extreme.
Is it Smythe?
Gunter guessed it. It's
Yeah.
Professor Smythe.
No.
But who got what? Who got the best roll there?
Mine
Yeah,
was
right.
I had a hard success.
It beats me.
08 extreme.
There you go.
better than my 11.
Theodore, when you realized that it's Professor Smythe, you also realized that he's got a full beard.
Oh.
As we feared, we were sent on this journey to bring the pieces, but it was not Smythe who betrayed us. It was just those who had borrowed pieces of Smythe to fool us.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Wait a minute. Whoa. Oh, shit.
This whole thing's
So-
been a setup.
You can't be who you claim to be. My friends are back in America.
Unfortunately, we attended a Challenger lecture given by yourself or somebody pretending to be
Yes. And then you left and went home, right? It was
No.
right after that that they attacked my home and brought me here.
Your
Beddoes, your manservant, Beddoes.
No, Beddoes is my most trusted friend. He
He
was
betrayed
left
you.
there. No, he was captured by them as well. They burned his hands. They took me.
Well, they
I don't know what
sent
happened to
us.
Beddoes.
Beddoes sent us to, on your behalf, to collect all the simulacra pieces and bring them here to be destroyed. But really, it was to bring them here to gather all the materials that they needed.
Oh my. What have we done? We have
Uh,
played.
Professor Smythe, we were told that we had to bring them to the site of their creation with the scrolls in order to destroy them. Do you know if they can be destroyed?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jesus Christ. The Sedefkar simulacrum.
I don't know what that is.
Well, we have a long story to tell you. Make yourself as comfortable. Is there some way we can make you more comfortable?
He's in a terrible state.
Can I, does it help if I pick the insects off of you, or does that make it worse?
You're all really horrified, but he's had his limbs removed. It looks like his eyes have been removed. One of his ears is removed. He's got his tongue and he's got his ear, so he can hear you and he can talk. But that's about it.
And they put us in with him intentionally.
To break our will, make us hopeless.
So talking with him and telling him what you surmise is shortly after the Challenger lecture, this Turk came to his house and used magic and threatened, well, at least he says that they threatened Beddoes and spirited him away. Something horrible and unspeakable came through the window and grabbed Professor Smythe, and within an hour they were in Constantinople, and that they've tortured him and cut off his limbs and so forth. But he himself doesn't understand any of this because they never asked him for information. They never were trying to get anything out of it. They never mentioned any kind of revenge for 1890 or anything like that. They just used his body parts and treated him like crap. You realize that somebody must have overheard your conversations at the Challenger lecture and made all of their plans after that. Because it was on, the Challenger lecture was on the 2nd, and you found the burned person on the 6th.
Yeah.
And you start to think there was something odd that night, that now you look back on it. In fact, I should have done it just now, but I forgot to do it. And that's that Professor Smythe doesn't call him Beddoes. Professor Smythe calls him James. It's always called him James.
Yeah.
But that Professor Smythe that night called him Beddoes, as if he was a servant.
Yeah.
So you're in there for an hour or so. The noise downstairs seems to have died down a bit, and you hear somebody coming, and there's a clank and an opening of the door, and 2 guards come in with very large scimitars, and following behind them is the man who called himself Akhtar, but now he's dressed in red robes, and he says to you that that was all a ruse. I am Hassad Malfikat, son of Suleiman, and it's about time that I took over the cult from my father, who's now been killed. I planned this whole thing out from the beginning. I did see you at the Challenger lecture, and I put all of my plans into motion because I would not have the ability to recover the things that you would. I couldn't go where you went. I couldn't get access to the museum data and the library stuff that you could. So I used you. I used you all this time.
We should have just given all the pieces to the vampire. This is what more do you want from us? To gloat? Really?
The vampire. I never saw that as part of this. That was I was afraid that he was going to get it, but you dispatched him quite well, and for that I thank you. Now I must leave. I am going to head back to England with my prize and take over.
Is the simulacrum inside you now? Have you absorbed it?
No, but I am now its master, and unfortunately for you, now it goes into its final phase as far as you're going. You may have noticed that you are have been slowly drained of energy because it requires feeding. But now it will simply finish you. You have a few days at the most before you simply rot away. And I have to get back to the actual scroll of cleansing so that I can keep this from happening to me. And so I bid you farewell. Thank you for all your work. Sorry that I couldn't leave you under better conditions. And he turns around and walks out, and they slam the door, and you hear them walk away, and he's cackling with laughter.
What a cocksucker.
Yeah. You know, these people don't even know how to operate a decent cult. Someone shows up and says, I'm the true heir, and says, kill the old man. They don't even have a decent schism. They should be slaughtering each other down there.
Oh. I'm going to continue kind of looking along where the wall and the floor meets. I'm looking for like loose stones or something.
You get the impression that this may be the very red tower that that was described in the Margini del Diablo. Was that the one where it was? I think it was. Um, it looks very old stone. It's solid as a rock. It's probably 2 feet thick, the walls.
Okay.
The hinges of the door in here, are they like
Big
bolt bends?
Well, they're big and heavy. It looks, in fact, like with a tremendous amount of strength, you could actually lift the door off the hinges, but it's an iron door and it probably weighs 400 or 500 pounds.
Well, we could give it a try. I'm relatively strong. And Gunther, you're kind of strong.
Well, I mean, do have some strength, but yeah, I'm more fat than muscle. But
I would think we would have a better chance in terms of just raw physicality if we could remove one of the manacles from its attachment to the wall. Then it would make a good weapon when the guards next came to mark us, if they bother to. Someone has been feeding poor Professor Smythe some gruel all this time to keep him alive in his torment. I wonder if it benefits them when they steal someone's parts to keep the original alive, if it helps maintain the tissue. Elsewise, I don't know why they would bother feeding them. And those blue lights downstairs, a similar hue of the blue of the simulacrum, I'm assuming?
Maybe, but it's also similar blue to the blue of the Memsahis.
Yeah. It's a pity we didn't find a box with the Memsahis in it on the way up here.
yeah,
I would very much like to see my old blade, if only to. Herr Professor Smythe, do you still relish your existence? If there's a chance we could take you out of here in your current condition, would you wish to come?
For a moment, the philosopher comes through, and he says that the worst part is not the torture or the pain or the horror of what they've done to me, but the despair that I continually fight against, because I'll be damned if I'm going to let them win that way, even though I can't do anything. I still am me.
Yep.
So it doesn't really answer your question, but he would say, do what you have to do. I don't think there's any place left for hoping for a better resolution, because this is what I'm going to be. And you realize too, and when he says that if you had the fucking Memsahis, you could actually fix him.
In a way, yeah. Yeah, so the answer is you have suffered so long. If we can impose upon you to suffer a little bit longer, at least we might be able to undo some of the despair. I yet have hope it is the overweening arrogance of Hassan Malfakat that allows me to think that something has been left forgotten, undone, misunderstood, that we may not yet perish here in order for him to take over the world, or whatever his Fikachta plan is.
Professor Smythe says, these people are superstitious. He says, the Malfakat, both of them, they're men who know something about magic, and they're confident in their magic. But most of these cult people, they're just lackeys who couldn't think for themselves if they wanted to. They're all afraid of the dark. They're all afraid of, bumps in the night. And they're all useless people. I don't know. You actually end up having to inform him a great deal of what's been going on because he wasn't really aware. You inform him that it's this cult. He's now sure it's the same cult from 1890s that his other friends. So the journal is correct. He did write the journal.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that you are there for perhaps 2 hours. And that spirit of despair is a hard one. You definitely become aware the pain that you feel as if something is slowly sucking the life force out of you. Do a listen roll.
Ooh, I'm good at listen.
29 is a pass.
Good.
71.
74.
Ooh, 32.
Nice.
Theodore and Gabriel, you suddenly hear commotion. You hear it through the window. You don't hear it down the stairs yet, but it sounds like a gentleman yelling, and it doesn't sound like somebody's being tortured. It just sounds like somebody is frightened. Then you hear a few more. You hear the sound of running feet. You hear clanging noises coming from down the stairs, and more screaming, more people yelling, and kind of a stampeding of feet running around down below. This continues for maybe 10 minutes with intermittent yelling and screaming. And all of a sudden, your cell cage, your cell door swings open all by itself.
And no one's there? It just opens?
No one's there.
That's-
The lock's undone and it's swung open.
Well, I'm not gonna wait for it to get swung back shut. I'm going to
yeah.
exit. Is there like something we could put like Professor Smythe in, almost like a
Yeah.
C-3PO kind of?
We have these. We put the red robes over our clothing.
Okay,
We didn't
yeah.
undress and put the red robe
Yeah,
on.
there you
so
go. Yeah, so kind of
And
like
the-
Yeah, we
fashion.
could dress them in a little red robe.
No, I just want to like something so I can carry him out. I mean, I want to give him at least a little hope before he passes.
yeah, and as little physical contact is required as well. But yeah, we can tie that around so that he can be borne out.
He's surprisingly light.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Quadriplegic.
Oh boy.
It's like none of that.
All right, you step out into the hallway, and who's going out first? Gunter, you went out first.
If
Do a luck roll. A
Okay.
luck roll.
Luck. Okay. All right. You got decent luck. 31 is a pass.
Okay, there's a scimitar lying there on the ground,
Nice.
just a few feet down the hallway, and there's doesn't seem to be anybody around.
I'll pick that up and go, Theodore, catch.
Ah.
Oh, Theodore, do a luck.
I'm gonna go slice my hand.
No, you don't have to do a luck roll.
Okay, I got an 18, so
Catch it like that.
I got a good throw.
Okay, you start down the stairs, and You are hearing male yelling, and you hear footsteps of people running. All of these, as you're going down, there are these prison cells with people in them. As I said before, they're still imprisoned. Many of them are almost as pathetic as poor Professor Smythe. Some of them are completely insane and crazed. So much so that you have to kind of stay on the side of the up against the wall as you're getting around them. Work your way down, and as you get to the bottom where there's some windows looking out, you can see people running. It looks like a great many of the cultists are running towards the gates or towards the front of the mosque and out into the city, like they're terrified of something, and they're screaming something that sounds like Chingrak Liyan Adam, Chingrak Liyan Adam.
Oh yeah.
Professor Smythe says they're saying something about the flapping man, whatever that means.
That's right.
The flapping man. They seem to be terrified of it. Some apparition or monster. And as you actually come out of the tower and you're sort of in this courtyard, you see this thing. It's dressed in kind of a robe. It's not red, but it's kind of grayish, and it's waving its arms and it's moving like this, and the people are running away from it, and it seems to be bellowing something in a foreign language. And as you're standing there, it suddenly sort of turns, and it's got a hooded cloak, and it begins to move quickly at you. What do you do? And you can sort of see through it like it's a spirit or a ghost.
That's not good. Can we flee and panic?
Well, it opened our cage.
You're kind of got your backs against the wall at this point as it's coming at you.
Yeah, it's helped us for some reason.
What do
Who
you
are
say?
you?
Are there hands coming out of the end of the robes?
No, just sort of the robes itself, almost, like a Scooby-Doo ghost.
Yeah.
And as it gets closer to you, it suddenly bellows something at you in what sounds like actually English.
Behold the flapping man. I have come for your souls. You fools have trespassed. Leave this place and never again.
Don't worry. It's me, Dabrowski. I don't have long. I'm giving you a chance to escape. I'm with Henry in the Dreamlands. I have a flat in Ulfar. Come and visit me sometime. But look, this is important. If a candle is running out, I do not have long. I am running out of time. You have to stop him. Time doesn't work the same way here, and things that haven't happened yet have repercussions. The royal family is in danger. If he gains the throne, it will be a bloodbath. I'm giving you a clear path out of here, but that's about all I can do. The curse is heavy on you. You don't have much time either. You need the scroll of cleansing, or you will rot away. Get back fast. Time for me to go. It was right there in the newspaper for January 6th. Get to Islington.
Dubowski.
Oh yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
We even talked about him. Yeah, let's go. Agreed, Dr. Nerd.
So are the children unchained?
The children have managed, you're not sure what happened to most of them, but you do see children wandering around a bit. Apparently, Hassad Malfakat didn't have he wasn't going to do what his father was going to do. So they've gotten loose and they're running too.
Did he say something about a newspaper on January 6th?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll need to research that once we get the hell out of here.
Did he say he had a clipper for us back to England? Or did I mishear that?
I didn't catch that.
It might be a good idea to find the ambassador's child and take him back.
Yeah.
This might grease the wheels. And this is supposed to be a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you do intelligence rolls. From what Malfakat said, you've only got a few days before you rot away.
And he said he's heading back to England, and we know that he's after the royal family, whom of course he can impersonate.
And the fastest way would be the Orient Express.
Well, we're getting back on the train. Woo.
Or the return journey.
Oh.
Which should only take us another 3 years to know.
No.
You're not going to be searching for anything this time.
Yeah, but I know there's
a
hut with some chicken legs waiting for us.
If only we could figure out how Smythe was whisked away from England to here in Constantinople in just 1 hour.
Yeah.
It almost sounded like the vampire did it, but not.
Well, he says it was some sort of flying monstrosity with multiple legs and arms and tentacles, and
that thing would be
probably a hunting horror.
In 1 hour from London to Constantinople, that's like 1,000 miles.
Well, fortunately for us, the jackass who old monologuer was getting on a train, so
let's do it.
I think we want to get on one train behind him, though, no?
Well, they'll never catch him. We need to be on the same train.
All right, let's go.
But if
we'll say, though, that you get the kid back.
Okay.
Or at least you drop him off and just go inside.
There you go. Here's a note. Hand it to your dad.
Do we want to search the Red Mosque for the Mem Sahis? We could, I mean, there's a chance.
You think they would have left
You're
it
also
here,
afraid that they'll be coming back. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, he scared them only for a minute. Yeah.
Like
saying, we gotta go.
I want one of those blue candles. Okay, we take the kid back. I wonder how our line of credit is. We had all the money that Smythe gave us, who wasn't Smythe. We need new clothes, new trunks. Everything we have is lost.
My name goes far. I'm banks throughout Europe. We'll be okay.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. We could just ask the ambassador. We brought his kid back. He could secure his passage.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that the next train that's leaving is in 5 hours. So you've got enough. Malfakat couldn't have gotten on the one before it because he would have still been here. But you can definitely get on the same one. You go to the embassy and you manage to secure eternal gratitude from Rutherford And although his kid is traumatized, that's not your problem anymore.
Yeah.
And that it's imperative that you get on the train. So he's going to make sure that good, faithful, hardworking people who've paid for their tickets get bumped off the train so that you can get on the train and
Sacrifice
hopefully
our lives for the good of humanity.
stop this impending horror show. Because you know now that Malfacot has the simulacrum. He can impersonate anyone. And the implication being that he can impersonate people from the royal family.
I ask him, and this should hopefully be there, it should be there, for a pair of beautiful English Webley revolvers, that they should be there.
Sure.
That's a pretty standard English sidearm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
To ask him for, we should just burn the train.
I don't know if he's got that guy back.
Well, the implication is also that the scroll of cleansing is back in England. And I don't know if you could quite hear the last thing that Dabrowski said, but it was something like get to Islington.
Islington, okay, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Is Islington the part of the city where Buckingham Palace is? I'll have to refresh.
We don't know.
So are we going to attempt to disguise ourselves on the train or just avoid him?
I mean, it's hard to avoid somebody who can look like anybody.
Yeah, we also have to set a code word for ourselves every day at midnight that changes in case he cuts one of our faces off. And I want some fresh clothes that haven't been in that tower or that sewer or that graveyard. So it's a good thing it's a few hours until the train leaves.
I think we should confront him on the train. I mean, we don't want him to get to England. Got to stop him as soon as possible.
Yeah, although if the scroll of cleansing is in England already and not on his person,
then we will rot away if we stall him.
I didn't think stall him, just stop him while the train was rolling.
Yeah, if we kill him, I don't know what happens to the simulacrum. It kills us and then...
It's okay.
Mm.
And where in England? I mean, hopefully.
And what do we wish to do with Professor Smythe?
Yeah, that's
leave him at the embassy.
Yeah, they'll take good care of him.
He is English.
He is English.
He can hold doors open.
Oh, God.
Oh, jeez.
Poor Professor Smythe.
Yeah.
I'll do two more things. One is you seem to recall a dream. Was it a dream? It was when you were in Dream Lausanne. And one of the things you saw was an old man who was a magician. And now that you think of it, he kind of looked like Professor Smythe, and he put his arm into a hat and it disappeared. He put his other arm in and his legs, and then finally he disappeared entirely. You're wondering if that was some kind of a prophecy of what was horribly going wrong.
Hey, what if we phone ahead to the Jigsaw Prince and say, hey,
Yeah, another friend we don't wish to meet. We have left enemies all across Europe, I'm afraid.
And one more thing, do a luck roll.
That's a failure on my end.
Ah, 15. Very good.
Oh, beat me. 23.
98.
Success.
Well, Dr. Kurz, a quick run to the library. You are in Turkey, but there's a fairly large English population here, and you find the London Times
January
for January
6th.
6th. This is what you open it up and you find.
Ireland refuses Beato to quit mayor's bench. 3 men killed at hotel. Each man carries the same identification. 3 slain men were discovered last night in a London hotel, each bearing the same fraudulent identification. This rings a bell. Each man had been stabbed through the chest. Maids at the Chelsea Arms, unfortunate name, hotel, discovered the bodies. The room was also registered under the same name. The identification papers of all 3 men lists H. Malficott, an antique and art dealer doing business in the city. The 3 victims bear superficial resemblances to one another, and each had passed as Mr. Malficott since independently arriving in London 3 days ago. Descriptions obtained from the shops describe the original Mr. Malficott as an elderly man, quite different from the impostors. At present, the real Mr. Malficott cannot be found, shall not be. Inspector Fleming of Scotland Yard is at a loss to describe the meaning of this bizarre mystery, but is eager to converse with anyone who knows the whereabouts of the elderly antiques dealer. He could be in Islington, or the shop could be French expedition crosses Sahara.
That's the only thing that's important.
That's the one.
I remember that from when we were in England.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not sure if there are such things as directories, but a simple browse in a directory shows that Malficott's antique art shop is in Islington.
Where the scroll's going to be.
Yeah.
Antique shop is a perfect place.
Excellent.
So, I can ask you your preparations before you get on the train, but then we can probably cut there and pick up on the Orient Express going back in the other direction.
Excellent.
He knows us too well for any superficial disguise to help us, yeah?
Correct.
Yeah.
We might get less expensive seats on the train where he's less likely to travel.
I don't think there are such things on the Orient Express. They're all 5-star. And you won't know what he looks like because he can look like anybody he wants to.
Yeah, he could be traveling under any name and it won't be anything like his own.
Yeah.
But you also know that he will have the simulacrum with him somewhere on that train.
Yeah, it'll probably be in deep storage. Well, now, how far ahead, roughly, does he have on us? Like, are we guesstimating like 2 hours, 3 hours?
He is a couple of hours ahead of you, but
the same train.
he has to wait for the train too.
Yeah, so that means he doesn't have so much time that he can be super deep bearing the simulacron. The simulacron's going to only have superficial cover there.
I imagine he's going to carry it in his luggage
room, right?
with him.
Like,
yeah, I mean, that's what we did. That's what it worked out.
We might be able to find it by how much it hurts to be near, or whether it soothes us. But we had, it's difficult to be in steerage. We hope it's in his room. He could put it in a coffin again and say, "This is my brother, Dr. Henry Armitage, whose corpse I'm bringing back from Istanbul." Since he can be anyone we need to get a look at the manifest of the passengers, if possible, and see if we can deduce under what name he is traveling. He could be traveling as Smythe. He has that face somewhere.
Yeah.
And if he succeeds, not only will we die, but the world will suffer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly loyal to your king, although he is related to uh, governments all over Europe. But we don't want him
he's
to be
one of the most
replaced.
powerful people. So,
You know. Yeah, I don't want.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't want any of Queen Victoria's offspring to be replaced by an utterly evil creature.
No.
I'll have you do an intelligence roll. And this represents you guys just trying to put two and two together and all of this.
54 is a
Some things
pass.
to keep in mind.
Yeah, I have only a regular success.
That 76 is a fail just by a little bit.
Right. Hard.
Okay. Oh, for those of you who passed, Malficott may have bitten off more than he can chew, because even one of you, if you were somehow able to impersonate a member of the royal family, you wouldn't have the etiquette or education that they would have been brought up with. You would stand out like a sore thumb because you wouldn't know which spoon to use or which fork to use or
We know he
sort
didn't.
of things.
He didn't know how to address his own staff, and there's a great deal of staff in the royal households.
Yeah, he doesn't know how. He doesn't gain the information that's in your brain when he imitates you. He's just imitating you. That's why he couldn't get into any of the places that he tricked you guys into going, because he needed somebody who knew something or was expertise in something in order to get into those places. He probably didn't know what information was even there, but he had no way. He couldn't have known everything about the simulacrum. He probably gave you that sheet, and those are the only things that he knew. There was maybe a piece there, maybe a piece there,
Yeah.
and he had no way of finding out. So he's not smart. I mean, he might be pretty smart. He's cunning, but
He played us like a fool several times. But yeah, he doesn't have. Although we don't also know what sort of abilities the simulacrum can give him. The way it expanded, and it was very alarming. He's probably impervious to many kinds of physical injury.
But you also know from what you've read that there are signs that somebody's wearing it, and there's ways to knock it off.
I miss my blade so much.
Is there
The knights defeated where the simulacrum. They defeated Sedefkar without the knife. Sedefkar was the knife against them. So
Yeah.
while the Memsahis would definitely be beneficial, it's not necessary to defeat aware of the simulacrum.
Janovar had it, and the police managed to restrain him and take it away from him. So,
I mean, to be fair, if we could push him off the train, we'd have the simulacrum and the scroll that cured us, and that would slow him down considerably.
I have a feeling he's going to be wearing the simulacrum, though. He's not going to be storing it. He's going to be wearing it.
how many people are on the train, roughly? Crew and passengers.
Weren't there 5 passenger cars, and they were like 20 people each, and there's probably as much staff?
yeah, say 10 or 15 people, probably.
I'm thinking this is pretty dark and
maybe
grim.
more.
This is dark and grim, but it's paramount for the world we stop this. The train goes over gorges. If we secure a small packet of TNT we can work our way up to the front of the train and blow it off the gorge, a gorge pass.
This is a last ditch situation, I think, Thursby.
I agree, but
I'll tell you for what it's worth right now, when Hassad turned and betrayed us yet again, my first instinct was to take the blade that he had given me and shove it directly through this rib rather than be tortured to death by that fiend. But if I had done that, then things would not be as positive as they are now. So we keep that detonation to France.
Just a thought, because we'll only have a few shots at this. And then once we get past the Alps, we won't probably have many opportunities to do that any longer.
Yeah, if I die in the Alps, at least my ashes will return to whence they came.
Maybe you'll get to go live with Dabrowski.
Yeah, he's living the good life with the kid.
A little place in Ultar sounds all right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly relative to the tower. So you get your Webleys?
Yes.
I'm going to purchase a little surgeon's collection of blades now that I understand a bit about how things work. I miss being able to perform surgeries.
Now, one last sort of glitch in your plans is, yes, you have been given tickets to the Orient Express, but your rooms are probably not going to be together.
Yeah.
So you'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah, I mean,
And I think that's, yeah, go ahead.
we know our disadvantage. He knows who we are, and we will not know who he is. And so we now enter into a period of paranoia and caution.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's end it there. Our players included Morgan Llewellyn, David Gassaway, Stuart Lively, and Keith Craig, with yours truly as the keeper of the secrets. And a big mention to Josh Harwood for his performance. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page listed in the description, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure to the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.